Hey there, Mission. I'm Tim Brown from Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, and I want to invite you to join me on Commerce Conversation, the business, community, and innovation here in Mission, Texas, the official podcast of the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. You know, each episode we're bringing you exclusive interviews with local business leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers who are living right here in the Rio Grande Valley doing business here in Mission. They're driving innovation in our community. We will dive deep into the issues that matter to you, the business growth to community events and everything that comes in between. You can catch this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe. Never miss an episode. If you miss one episode, you miss a lot, so don't miss an episode. We're excited to share the latest in business and community news with you. We'll see you on the Commerce Conversation. Welcome to a new episode of Commerce Conversation, Business, Community, and Innovation, where we talk about businesses here in the city of Mission. You know, I'm your host, Tim Brown from Rick Brown Family Funeral Home. One of the things that's interesting is our name is the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. And so as we talk about Greater Mission, today we're talking about Precinct 3. And we have my county commissioner, Villarreal, here. And I guess it's Everardo, right? But everyone calls you Ever.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, so he's here, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here in our county, particularly our side of the county. So we're excited to have you here. Today we're going to hear a lot about the support that the county gives so that we can have the quality of life on the western side. I mean, everything from road improvements, street light projects, sanitation improvements. There's a lot that goes on in this county, and so we have our commissioner here that's going to walk us through some of that. One of the things I do want to point out is we have some great sponsors this year. As many of you know, May the 2nd, that's our Mission Citrus Classic Golf Tournament. We're excited about that, and we've got some really good sponsors. Cano and Sons Trucking, they're always a sponsor. No matter what we do, they seem to support us. And we also have Texas Valley Clinical Research really coming out strong and heavy to sponsor our golf tournament. Once again, I want to thank you for tuning in today. If you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, that's okay. We're not going to hold that against you. We're just glad that you're here and that you're a listener. And if you ever need something, always feel free to reach out. The staff here is always grateful to make connections and will help you through any situation you might have. All right, so today we're joined by Villarreal. He's our Hidalgo County Commissioner, Precinct 3. How many precincts are there in Hidalgo County?
There's 4 precincts.
4, okay. And so I talked to you earlier, Precinct 3 is very large. And so some of the perimeters, let's see, we're talking about McCook, yeah, all the way to the river.
Yes.
Okay, and then did you say Sullivan City?
Sullivan City and to Taylor Road.
Wow, that's a lot. How many people did you say that are registered?
A little bit over 215,000.
Wow.
But we know that it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, so nearly 250,000 people live in that area. And so that's a big responsibility for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, and I don't know about you, but I assume that sometimes when you run for election, you don't realize there's that many people counting on you. And I have no doubt that your phone is always ringing.
Yes, sir.
You know, I love your social media that you do. I'm exhausted by the time I'm done seeing your social media. You are everywhere all day, and I don't think you sleep anywhere. Do you ever get to sleep?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the great things that are happening in western Hidalgo County. And you know, that's my part of the county. This is where I live. That's Mission is considered Precinct 3. And I assume the municipalities, they handle a lot of their own. You get involved in some of that, but your big part is the unincorporated area. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So when we talk about what's going on in the community, how do you receive like your constituents? I mean, how do you know what problems they have, and how are you able to address them? Is it just people calling your cell phone?
Well, they call the office, and a lot of people do have my cell phone. And believe it or not, you know, the being in Facebook and Instagram really helps for the people that don't know who to call or who are responsible. They send messages, and you know, some of the major concerns that we have here in Precinct 3 or that our citizens have is drainage, lighting, and roads, which is has been a big issue. And we're constantly working on our drainage. Let me tell you that with this 2 weeks ago that we had that big rain event, you know, our precinct did amazing.
Yeah.
You know, because we have constantly been working on improving the drainage and educating people on the issues. Everybody has their easement on their properties in the rural area where there's a collection site, so they can retain water. And when you do upgrades to that, that creates a problem for everybody.
Right.
A lot of people fill those drainage easements up, and so they don't collect any water. So that water ends up going to our road. So there's a lot of education that we need to get out there and tell our community, so we won't have any flooding issues. Let me tell you that the work that we did these past 4 years really had a positive impact on having a lot less or close to no flooding in the subdivisions that used to flood before.
Well, that's great news, because that was what Rain-A-Geddon 2025. That was something else, and I guess a big part of your team goes out there to educate people and try to explain to them, water mitigation and flooding mitigation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what is the number one need that you get from your constituents? What do they call in? You mentioned roads, you mentioned drainage, but if there's one thing you had to point out, what is the concern that people have?
One of the things that I thought I wasn't responsible for was health.
Mm-hmm.
But when I newly got elected, we had that global pandemic that really caused a lot of hurt and sadness in the world, because we lost a lot of relatives and a lot of our friends and a lot of citizens to this horrible disease. And, having to organize those vaccines, every commissioner was in charge of that.
Really?
And that led me to understand that we needed new facilities to provide better health for our residents.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to let you know that we're actually building 2 clinics in our precinct. One of them very close to the city of Mission here on Moorfield Road, another in Los Ébanos, which that one in Los Ébanos Road, it's close to Alton between 6 and 7 mile line. It's going to service immediately around there over 6,000 families.
Wow.
Not including, people that can come from McAllen or from the west side. So it's just amazing. That I really didn't know that I was responsible for. But we quickly learned, and we just had it was an amazing partnership that we ended up creating with the city of Mission, with La Jolla ESD, and being able to hold those pods to be able to vaccinate over 700,000 of our residents. So that was a big issue. I think health is one of the most important things that we need to focus on, because we can live without light, we can live with a little bit of flooding, but we cannot live without our relatives. We need to keep everybody healthy, so that's a big issue.
So your bio says you were elected in 2020 for the first time as commissioner.
And took office 2021.
So you're not kidding. You got thrown right in the middle of the big pandemic.
Exactly. The first year was just working on that.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we only had 1 clinic in Precinct 3 up until this point.
That is correct.
So nearly 250,000 people had 1 clinic, so now we're going to have 3 to separate. That's amazing news. Amazing. That's exciting.
Yes.
I hope this is breaking news. Like we're the first to hear. Tune in. You never know what you're going to hear at the podcast. So I don't know, obviously what you do is always very rewarding at times. You see people that are hurting, you see people that, are going through some sort of tragedy. And I have no doubt that you run into people maybe on the worst day of their life, whether that be a fire, whether that be something that, they're reaching out to you. Do you have any examples that stand out in your head of maybe someone that got some help from Precinct 3 that just changed their day?
Well, just last week I was invited to a graduation for Hidalgo Police Academy. And where there were some new cadets that were going to graduate to become police officers. And let me tell you that, especially for law enforcement, 3 of those cadets, for 2 of them, we were able to get them a full scholarship.
Wow.
Through CSA. And another one, we helped them with rental assistance. And, they're special to me because they do so much to protect and serve our community, and they put their lives on the line. So, it was special for me to be able to help our law enforcement in that manner, in educating and them having to be able to provide also for their families. But let me tell you that we have helped so many of our residents with rental assistance, with paying their mortgage, paying taxes also.
Funeral expenses.
Funeral expenses.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing feeling. And let me tell you, that's where social media comes into place, because a lot of people don't know that we can be able to assist. I didn't know of all the service that the county was able to help so many people.
You know, you talk about social media, and in the words of Father Roy, Granddaddy would never believe this. You know, it amazes me how many people are on social media and looking for that. You know, and times are changing, and for old guys like me, and you have a little gray hair. I'll say you're an old guy too. But you know, for us, it's so amazing to have some of these younger people on our staff that are able to keep up with that, and you realize the impact that it has, and it's just times are changing. There's no longer putting an ad in the newspaper and everyone reads it. You've got to find several different avenues to get that information out. It really does amaze me how much y'all do on social media, and I think that whoever does that for you, you need to commend them that they're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So, you know, one of the things that concerns me is homelessness. There's actually several things that concern me along those lines. You know, and so I don't know if the Precinct 3 has done something to kind of help some of the homeless people. The other thing, too, is food. You know, you oftentimes will drive by maybe the food bank or something. You'll see a long line of people waiting to get food. And obviously they're in need, but there's people that can't even afford to get there. And so I know that Precinct 3 has always been, we go to the people. And so tell me a little bit about what you're doing to help people that may be getting close to experiencing homelessness. You mentioned some sort of rent, something. I don't know exactly what the programs are. And then also along the lines of, you know, going out and helping them when they need something, not making them come in if they can't afford to.
You know, CSA has been amazing.
What is CSA? And for me that doesn't know, is that community? What is it? Community
Service Agency.
Agency. Okay.
Yes, and that's through the county.
Okay.
And they have done so much for our community. They work with our school districts, with our counselors, so we can know exactly who is in need. And, you know, let me tell you that I'm the first precinct that created a position of outreach.
Oh, great.
Because a lot of our residents are not computer savvy.
Yeah.
And they do not know how to fill out an application.
Yeah.
So we try to put the word out as much as we can with working together with our school districts, with our counselors. Let me tell you that our counselors and teachers in our school districts are just amazing.
Right.
And they have touched so many lives that we have been able to assist because of them. They get to tell the parents, and they come to ask for assistance from us, and then we help them. And it's just been an amazing, great partnership. So that's what we've been doing. Let me tell you the other thing that's been very special for me and very rewarding, which I didn't know, that Urban County, we can build you a brand new house for free for people that qualify. And because of our social media, one of our residents that didn't know this existed applied. And not too long ago, I went to his house to give him his key to his brand new house, and that was just so special.
That's got to be exciting for you too.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, you know, and to see these families, you know, their faces, their husbands and their children, to be able to see that and seeing where they used to live, or not living, having to live with somebody else, it's just an amazing feeling. And I think we need to continue to spread the word, and we try to use everybody that we can, even our churches, to let our community know that there's a lot of assistance out there. We're here to help, and there's we just need to educate the people of how we can help them.
You know, and that's life-changing for those families. You know, there's no doubt to receive a home is life-changing. You know, you mentioned the counselors at school. So often the counselors see these kids, and they'll open up to these counselors and say things that they won't say to you or me in public. And, you know, for them to be able to have a resource and say, we can help you with that, that's a great partnership there. And, you know, my next question, you've hit on it already, is, you know, what partnerships does Hidalgo County have with local nonprofits and organizations to expand resource access? But I think you've hit on a lot of that. One of the things you mentioned is churches. And if you drive through Precinct 3, there's little churches that are community churches. They're sitting right there in the heart of the community. You know, there's obviously some big mega churches and large churches, but there are some that are right there in the middle of the community. And I'm sure that that's a huge asset for y'all to be able to get the word out in those little colonias, for lack of a better term.
You know, one of our pastors and one of our churches that we visit and we've helped, he was surprised when I told him, you know what, Pastor, I'm gonna use you.
Yeah.
And he was kind of shocked, like, what are you talking about? I need you to spread the word
Yeah.
of what we can do to help our residents. And you're the perfect person because a lot of people come to church, and it's very important that you share what we can do in case there's a lot of families with need.
Right. You mentioned that Precinct 3 is the first precinct to have an outreach program.
Yes.
So, I see the Precinct 3 trucks drive up and down the street, but I don't know exactly, tell us some of the heroes of Precinct 3. Who are the behind the scenes guys that we should know about?
Let me tell you, we have an amazing staff and a great team. Aníbal Reséndez, Arnold Salazar, Jorge Arcaute, Manny Salinas, Lázaro, Miguel Castillo. We just have, all of them are
Right.
just amazing. And they take pride in the work that they do, And one of them was telling me not so long ago, we were paving a street, and a lady came out of her house with a pitcher of lemonade that she made
Yeah.
to give to the guys, and they just feel great.
Yeah.
When someone comes and thanks them for the hard job that they're doing. Let me tell you that paving is a real hard job.
It is.
We pave and it's over 100 degrees, and you're paving and you're riding on an oven.
Yeah.
And for them to be there all day working, it's just they're just amazing, and all of them are heroes. We've done so much in so little time.
And you talking about what makes your team so special, and that's what it is that they love the community and they understand what's going on. You talk about the lady that brought lemonade. Likely, because there's a lot of poor areas in Precinct 3, likely that was a sacrifice for her.
Yes.
And for her to come out there with, this is what I've got for you, that's pretty amazing. I cannot speak highly enough of your employees, and let me tell you why. So we just had, like I said, all that rain, that huge storm that we talked about earlier. There's nobody at those guys' house taking care of their house.
Exactly.
I ran home, and I went out there and I'm trying to get my house ready, if it's sandbags, whatever. I ran home and did that. These guys did not run home. They ran to someone else's home. And, they realize that their home is unprotected so they can protect this community. And that speaks volumes of somebody. You start thinking about, it's easy when we think about first responders and we think about police officers and firefighters, and they do deserve our respect. They're out there day in and day out, but so are the gentlemen and the men and women that work for Precinct 3, that work for the parks and recs of these municipalities. It's pretty amazing. I don't think people realize what they do in a time of an emergency. So make sure you go back and thank those guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. So how do you evaluate whether the resources that the county provides are actually meeting the needs of the community? Is it the lack of phone calls or just the conversations you have as you're up and down the roads of the precinct?
I was talking to Manny Salinas, and he's one of our directors, and we are getting less complaints from our community because of all the outreach and work that we're doing. And let me tell you that we do listen.
Right.
We get a complaint through Facebook or Messenger, and we go and we put it on our work list. And a lot of people call, but because of all the work that we've been doing nonstop,
Right.
and with emergencies, we don't wait for the emergency to happen.
Right.
We're trying to stop the emergency by cleaning our drain ditches, by picking up trash, by educating our residents not to dump trash illegally.
Right.
So it's very important because that's what creates the problems. So, educating and assisting, it really helps. And I think our community is very, very happy and appreciative. And, that's the feeling that we're getting out.
So let's go back to this dumping trash illegally, because that's been a problem for as long as I'm 47 years old, and I think that's been a problem since I was a kid. But Precinct 3 offers an area for the unincorporated areas to go throw their trash, don't y'all?
For only $25.
Yeah.
For $25, you can come and dump your trash for 3 months.
Wow, for 3 months.
We even,
That's a great deal.
because of the issue and us wanting to help our residents, we modified the rules and regulations to allow trailers to be able to be permitted to dump trash. Regular trailers for trucks, not 18-wheelers.
Right, understood.
But, we're trying to constantly help our residents. And when a resident might not be able to afford to bring their trash, we give a pass for free.
Yeah.
And they can come. So there shouldn't be an excuse for you to dump trash illegally.
Right.
And, we need to keep our area beautiful. And it does create a drainage issue.
Yeah, and it is looking better. Every time you drive through Precinct 3, every time you can notice, the improvements. Okay, so we're the Chamber of Commerce. We talk about business here. So what does Precinct 3 do to help businesses in their area? Is there anything that entrepreneurs should be looking at when they're looking at the county and particularly Precinct 3?
You saying that we just had not so long ago a meeting. We partnered up with Texas A&M.
Okay. By the way, that's my favorite school.
A&M Prairie View.
Okay, Prairie View. Okay.
Also, and local chambers. And what we did in our office here in Precinct 3 is that we invited new business owners and future new business owners to get educated on how to file their IRS taxes, what it takes to open a new business, how to become a vendor for the county or any other city. We were able to assist with that. So I think it's very, very important to let our new business owners and the ones that want to create a new business and answering their questions and giving them ideas of what to do and what the process, where to get a building permit. And it's very important that they get to meet their local elected officials that can assist, because I know that every single mayor and commissioner that I have talked to all want their businesses that they build inside their cities and in our rural areas to be successful. So we want to try to help anybody that we can have a easy transition to their business, and obviously be successful.
That's a great partnership with Texas A&M Prairie View to be able to do that.
Yes.
One of the history of this podcast was we sat around and realized that most businesses, they close down within a year. And, we have such great wealth of knowledge here in the city of Mission. Why not get this wealth of knowledge out there? And so I think that, if you're a new business owner, and I would encourage you, call your Chamber of Commerce, call Precinct 3 and say, where can I get this information? There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already been invented. And I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm proud to share with people that this is what I learned, so you don't have to go through the same mistake. So let's talk, as these businesses are growing, what is your concern with Precinct 3? Are roads a concern? Or, because as businesses grow, that increases traffic, and that means you, as our county commissioner, got to keep up with it.
That's one of the things that we're working on. We're working on building new roads, partnering up with our cities. We have currently we have jobs with the city of I'm helping the city of Mission with Los Ébanos and with other projects. We just finished Taylor Road, which Precinct 3 donated $1 million to the city of Mission, and our other Precinct 2 donated another $1 million. So I'm sure you've driven by that road. I drive by that road every day, and it's a huge difference.
Yes.
To be able to create a safe way of travel for our residents. But at the same time, it gives an opportunity for new businesses to come in.
Right.
So, it's projects like those that are going to make the difference in our future, but we can't stop. We're growing so fast, and it's very important for us to work together to be able to provide the necessary infrastructure that it takes to help all those new businesses and to be able to support those new businesses and at the same time servicing our residents.
You mentioned Taylor Road, but recently, and I'll be honest with you, I have not driven down 107 in a little while. I went down there recently. That's a 6-lane highway, and there's businesses on each side. And then you go over to Monte Cristo. That is a huge, busy road with businesses, and you realize Precinct 3 is thriving. I mean, everywhere you look, it is thriving, and I think that speaks volumes of your leadership, and so I'm grateful for you. Before we close out the podcast, do you have any last final comments that you want to share with the people of Precinct 3 and the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce?
Was talking about our employees and that their hard work and dedication. Let me tell you that we have won the Quick Draw Award from Urban County for paving more roads than any other precinct 4 years in a row.
Wow.
And let me tell you that they're extremely happy and proud. We have never won an award here in Precinct 3 for this type of award. So it's exciting, and it just gives you a great feeling for our employees, knowing that they were doing an amazing job, and they're winning awards on paving the most roads.
You need to put that on all the side of the pavers. Award-winning paving company. There
Yes,
you
sir.
are, or
Yeah.
paving crew, I guess. But yeah, that's exciting. That really is. I know the work is not nearly close to being done, and when we think it is done, I'm sure there'll be another project that comes up. And on behalf of me and the business owners here in Mission, thank you. Thank you for what you do for us. We are grateful.
No, thank you, and thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. So really appreciate you all and everything that you do for our businesses and anything that we can do. And if you want to hold a meeting in our Precinct 3 facilities to be able to assist new owners and educate, please, you're more than welcome.
Oh, don't say it if you don't mean it. We'll hold you to it and make you honor that and let us have a meeting over there. But we're excited. Thank you for all you do. What a great conversation that we had about Precinct 3 and all the support for just the daily life and the businesses that are going on in Precinct 3. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you really got to take away all the infrastructure that's being built, all the programs that you could take part of, and reach out to Precinct 3. And if you have trouble reaching them, call here to the Chamber of Commerce. They'll connect you with them. If this is your first time on the podcast, we're grateful for you, but we hope that you come and reconnect with us next time. And if you're a loyal listener, we're grateful for you, and we're grateful that you're taking part of the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. If you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I would encourage you to become a member. There's so many resources here that you would be able to take advantage of. Now, let's talk a little bit again about our sponsors.
Looking for new ways to improve your health and help others in the process? At Texas Valley Clinical Research, we're advancing medicine right here in the RGV by connecting volunteers with cutting-edge clinical trials. Whether you're managing diabetes or high cholesterol, your participation matters. Safe, local, and life-changing, and yes, you may be compensated for your time. Visit tvcrtrials.com today and see if you qualify. Here at Texas Valley Clinical Research, we're advancing care together.
Once again, thank you to Texas Valley Clinical Research for all they do to take care of the community and here at the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. Don't forget to follow the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce online for more updates and content. We look forward to having you join us all again on our next episode. This has been the Commerce Conversation, Business, Community, and Innovation, hosted by Tim Brown from Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, produced by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce, and edited by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. We'll see you in the next episode.